There's a moment when you realize you're not alone, even though you're supposed to be isolated. That's how it started for me and my friend Griffin, when we were sent to work on a remote mountain logging site. It was one of the most desolate places I've ever been, miles from anything, just endless trees and silence. We had been there for about 10 days, working grueling 16 to 20-hour shifts. The days blurred together. The cold seeped into your bones, and the forest never seemed to change. At night, we stayed in a small camper perched high off the ground. It was our refuge, or at least, it was supposed to be safe. Everything changed one night. It started with strange noises over our radios, muffled voices that didn't belong to us. No matter what channel we switched to, the chatter followed, barely audible but clear enough to make the hair on your neck stand up. It felt like someone was listening in, or worse, watching us. We began to notice signs that someone, or something, had been living nearby long before our arrival. Fresh footprints pressed into the mud, makeshift campsites hidden among the trees, but no official sign of anyone. Then, the scratching began. Around midnight, Griffin woke me with a whispered warning. I heard footsteps crunching hard on the gravel outside, the sound purposeful and unrelenting. My heart sank when I realized my gun wasn't loaded. I hadn't even checked where my ammo was. Griffin was unarmed as well. We sat there frozen in the dim glow of our small camper, terror slowly sinking in as the door handle creaked and jigged, the door slowly swinging open but never quite all the way. That was when the scratching started. Long, deliberate scratches that dragged along the door for what felt like an eternity. 4 agonizing minutes punctuated only by the grinding sound of the metal against the wood, before silence fell again. I gave a subtle nod to Griffin and grabbed my flashlight, heart pounding louder than I wanted to admit. I approached the door slowly, trying to steady my shaking hands. Just as I reached it, the door burst open with violent force. A sharp blow hit my face, blinding me momentarily. I went down hard, the world spinning as a man pressed a knife to my neck. Another joined in, striking me repeatedly in the head. Griffin lunged at one attacker, tackling him to the ground while the other bolted into the woods, disappearing into the shadows like smoke. I was left a bloody mess, visible wounds on my face and neck, and invisible scars that haunt me every day. We drove 2 hours to the hospital. The police came, took statements, but nothing came of it. No arrests were made. 2 weeks later, a coworker was found murdered near the logging site. The scars I carry now are more than skin deep. PTSD is a constant companion, and the memory of that camper, that mountain, still haunts me years later. That place, and what happened there, changed my life forever. I've always been a fan of hunting in remote forests. There's a strange comfort in the silence between trees, the untouched snow, and the way the cold air feels sharp but clean. But one winter trip with my friend changed all that. It left a mark on me that I can't forget. We had been moving slowly through the forest, snow crunching beneath our boots, shadows long and thin as the light struggled to slip past the thick canopy. The cold wasn't just outside. It settled inside your bones, making every breath a sharp reminder of how alone you are out there. After hours, we stumbled into a clearing, and what we saw stopped us dead. 4 naked figures sat huddled in the snow. 2 were massive, bent low like twisted giants with pale skin that looked almost translucent. Patches of bruises and scraped flesh marked their bodies. Their muscles twitched like something was crawling inside, or beneath, their skin. The other 2 were much smaller. They clung to a nearby tree with desperate, jerking motions, quick, erratic twitches of their heads and necks, like they were trapped in some endless, agonizing struggle. No noise came from them. No breathing, no whisper, not even the slightest sound. Just those strange, broken movements. We wanted to tear our eyes away, but it was like something held us in place. A cold grip of dread rooted around our chest. Suddenly, the fog that had been creeping down from the hills seemed to swallow them whole. They vanished into the mist, like shadows dissolving into smoke. We didn't say a word for a long time. The silence felt heavier than the freezing air. Something was watching us from those woods, patient and unblinking. That night, sleep fled us both. Every shadow flickering in our campfire's glow felt alive, a whispered presence at the edge of our vision. The wind through the branches wasn't just wind anymore. It was a chorus of low, mournful whispers. In the morning, we found deep, claw-like scratches carved in circles around our camp. Every tree nearby was marked, like some silent warning. I still don't know what we saw or why it was there, but one truth remains. Some parts of the wilderness aren't just wild. They're watched by things we aren't meant to see. I woke up to a sharp cold that seemed to seep into my bones, typical for winter where I live, but that morning felt different. I stepped outside, breathed in the crisp air, and noticed something that stopped me cold. Bare footprints in the snow led, step by step, from the edge of the dense woods straight to my truck, ending right at the door handle. The footprints weren't dirty or partially obscured like those of animals. They were unmistakably human, bare feet pressed perfectly into the fresh snow. But what struck me was how they led back the same way, disappearing silently into the forest. I scanned the woods, but there was nothing. Not a rustle, not an animal or a person. No tracks leading away from the spot where the prints vanished back into the trees. It was like someone had crossed an invisible boundary, touched my truck, and simply stepped back into the forest without making another mark. There was no sign of disturbance around the truck. No footprints circling the area. No broken branches. No misplaced snow. My hands shook a little as I checked the doors. They were all locked tight. Despite the silence, I felt an undeniable weight pressing down on me. Something watching, just beyond sight. I called out softly, my voice breaking the frozen stillness. But the woods swallowed it without reply. That day, every shadow seemed to move. Every snapping twig sounded like footsteps. At night, when the wind whispered through the trees, I lay awake wide-eyed. The image of those bare footprints burned into my mind like a warning. I told a few friends who laughed it off, saying it was probably some prank or a wild animal tricking me. But animals don't leave neat, bare-toed footprints, and this was no game. No one wanted to be seen, and whatever it was, it knew how to disappear without a trace. The quiet knowing that someone had been that close, undetected, changed how I saw the woods forever. Even now, long after I've moved, I can't shake the feeling that those footprints mean more than just trespassing. They were a sign that I wasn't alone, even when I thought I was.